Today's episode of Beyond the Mask is presented by the insurance specialists at Bright Think Wealth Strategies. Find the disability insurance coverage that fits you best right now. Email Robert Smith at rsmithjr@financialguide.com. The show is also made possible by the team at CRNA Financial Planning. Get a free consultation today to be guided through the complexities of investing and financial planning. Just visit crnafinancialplanning.com. And don't forget, listening to our podcast can earn you Class B credits. For more information on how you can submit them, check out the CE Credit tab on our website, beyondthemaskpodcast.com. Welcome to Beyond the Mask, innovation and opportunities for CRNAs and advanced practice nurses, with certified financial planner Jeremy Stanley and CRNA Sharon Pierce. Jeremy Stanley has worked with CRNAs for more than 23 years, and Sharon Pierce is a former president of the AANA and the NCANA. Join us as we leave the operating room and learn the latest in the CRNA and advanced practice nurse industries. Beyond the Mask starts in 10, 9, 8,
7. Well, hello, Sharon, and hello, listeners, and welcome to the show.
How are you doing today after your bout with another illness you got from your children yesterday?
Well, I'm okay. Nothing major. This too shall pass.
Oh, my goodness. Was it you or Landon had the 103 temp?
Landon
or both
had
of you?
103. Yeah, no, I wasn't running a fever. He was, though. So, but yeah, he went to school Friday, and there were 3 kids in his class out of 20. And they said that the majority of the kids were out with either COVID or the flu. So it is rampant.
Wait, let me get this right. 17 of the kids were out?
17 kids were out. Yeah. And evidently it's like that all over the school. Kids are just sick left and right now. So.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So, and, he wanted to hang out all weekend, and Sarah and Holland had things to do. So he and I were kind of like buddies all weekend. So he decided to share with Dad. So.
What a good boy.
I know, right?
Well, today I get to interview you again.
Yes. I always
So are you up to this?
I think I can do it.
I think you can too. So what are we going to be talking about today?
Well, we're going to shift gears a little bit and talk about the top retirement plan mistakes that we see our CRNAs make and things they need to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the reasons people get up and go to work every morning, is because one day they don't want to have to go to work anymore, right?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. We work our whole life, and then one day we don't want to go to work. We want to enjoy ourselves, right? Sounds kind of oxymoronic to me. Shouldn't we enjoy it along the way and not
all right. We've already
here's the psychological.
The financial psychological piece.
But, it is important. And what we find is that a lot of people make mistakes. And we'll delve down this a little bit, and I'll hit some topics that maybe even some of our 1099 CRNAs might want to hear about as well. So Sharon, I'll let you kick it off.
All right. So tell us the different kinds of plans that you see CRNAs have for retirement.
Yeah, I mean, the majority either have a 401k or 403b. And by the way, 401k, 403b all deal with IRS code, okay? It's Section 401k, Section 403b. So when you hear these retirement plan names, a lot of people wonder where they come from.
Oh, my God, I just learned something.
From. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
How
it's just
cool
a whole
is that?
code section for the IRS that outlines this particular type of retirement plan.
Every time I hear 403B, I keep thinking of a 150B. Isn't that when you have a restraining order because you've been or something?
Wow, I don't know about that one.
Somebody will text me after they hear this. Anyway, I digress. All right, so you've got the 401.
401k, and typically 401ks, and these are not, end all be alls, but typically 401ks are by for-profit organizations. And 403Bs are by government entities or nonprofit organizations. And then a lot of CRNAs who are working at hospitals, they also have what's called a 457. And Sharon, what is a 457?
I don't know, but you're going to tell me.
It's another part of the IRS code. That was a trick
question.
I
knew that part.
Hey, Sharon, I got a good one for you I heard this weekend. What's a 3-letter word that starts with gas?
Gas.
No, a 3-letter word that starts with gas.
3-letter word that starts with gas is gas. That's a 3-letter word.
No, a 3-letter word that starts with gas is a car.
Oh, my God.
I couldn't wait to tell you that one.
Oh, my God, you got me. Remember, I started work at 5:30 this morning. My gas is about gone.
Your gas tank is running low right now. Oh man, yes, I thought that was great. But yeah, so a 457 is it's a different type of plan. It's called a deferred comp plan, and you see this. And a lot of CRNAs participate in these, but there's some good and bad to that. I mean, it allows you to basically double up the maximum that you can save in your retirement plan. So if you're under age 50, you can save $19,500 in your retirement plan. If you're over age 50, you can save $27,000 this year. The 457 also allows you to save those exact same amounts. And so you can actually double up the amount that you're saving. The 457 are interesting animals, though, because they really are deferred compensation. You're saying, I don't want this money, hospital. You keep it for me. So that money typically becomes a direct obligation of the hospital, meaning if the hospital were to get sued or go bankrupt, those assets could go with it. Because it's owned by the hospital. And a lot of people don't recognize that. They try to use certain types of trusts and so forth to segregate the funds somewhat. But either way, it is a direct obligation of the hospital. So, and people don't understand that. You know, hopefully it never comes to fruition, but it is something you do need to understand. So those are really the 3 main types of plans we see in most CRNAs portfolios. And then as you get to 1099, we'll hit on that a little bit later, but there are a multitude of plans that you can utilize there. But so many times we see people making mistakes with what they should be doing.
All right. So what are those mistakes and how do we avoid those mistakes?
Well, you know, the first one is, a lot of CRNAs transition their employment. They go from one hospital to the next or one group to the next, and ultimately they accumulate retirement plans. And they might have $100,000 at Hospital A. They left it there. They might have $100,000 at Group B, and now they're working at Group C. And they just kind of left it there. They don't look at it anymore. They left it there, and they're not doing anything with it. In fact, sometimes we found that they don't even know what they've got there, or even how to get the information from this plan. So, a lot of times it's better off for them to roll that into an IRA or consolidate that, depending on the situation. Now, obviously, everyone's situation is different, but at least where they can look at it and pay attention to it, because so many people don't these days.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And that's how, after I met you, because I had things floating around out there, even though I had not changed jobs a lot, which nowadays that's very unusual for people. A lot of them change jobs.
Right.
But that's what I did. I rolled over everything to you eventually.
Have you thought about what would happen if you weren't able to work for 2 or 3 years? On average, 25% of people will file a disability claim, and most of us aren't prepared for that loss of income. Every CRNA needs to protect their biggest asset, yourself, and your ability to earn with a disability insurance policy. We recommend contacting Robert Smith, a master disability insurance specialist with more than 30 years of experience and 1,800 CRNA clients, to find the coverage that fits you best. The best way to do that is to send him an email at rsmithjr@financialguide.com. That's rsmithjr@financialguide.com or call them at 504-394-6557.
So what's another problem that CRNAs don't do with their 401k?
Yeah, a lot of times, we see them not rebalancing the portfolio enough. And rebalancing is, we started out that, we were growth oriented. We wanted 80% equities and 20% bonds. And equities continue to go up and up and up. And now we've got 95% equities and only 5% bonds. And they don't rebalance that portfolio. And then we have years like we've had this year, and they go, why am I down so much? Or, they're supposed to be more of a moderate portfolio, and they've gotten kind of out of line. So again, another reason to pay attention and look at this is because, one, it's your money, right?
Right.
It's your money. You should pay attention to it. And if you're not going to pay attention to it, you need to get somebody to help you pay attention to it. And rebalancing allows you to kind of pull the portfolio back where it should be based upon your risk objective and your time and so forth that you've got until retirement. So that's another mistake we often see people make, is not rebalancing enough.
Okay. Now, this third one that we have down is something I've been guilty of in the past.
Yeah, and this is the reason that they have these things, because they recognize human nature. And that is, we see a lot of people who just stick all their money in a target date fund. And a target date fund is one that basically the mutual fund managers manage that portfolio, and I use air quotes, to a particular asset allocation depending upon when you're going to retire. So obviously, the closer you get to retirement, and in retirement, you should reduce your risk.
True.
They automatically do that for you in the portfolio. But a lot of people think that is automatically customized to their needs. And that couldn't be the furthest thing from the facts. So they basically are just taking this portfolio and managing it, pulling it back in for your age. And they're saying, okay, if you're going to retire in 2034, as you get closer to 2034, you're going to need this amount of bonds and this amount of equities, and they automatically adjust that for you. That doesn't necessarily meet your needs, your goals, or your objectives, because at that point, you really don't know what you actually do need and what type of rates of return you're going to need either. So it's not the end-all, be-all. I know why they did it, because a lot of people just want to set it and forget it. And this is an easier way to do that. And the mutual fund companies love it when you do that.
Well, I don't do it anymore, but I was a victim of this. Now, I will tell you, when my kids first started their 401ks, and I did tell them to do this because it's better than nothing.
It is better than nothing. You're right. You're right. And a lot of 401k plans have a default position in the plan nowadays. And that default is typically one of these types of plans, investments. So again, it's better than nothing. If they're not going to look at it, not going to manage it, hey, you can set it there and forget it.
Okay. So does the 401k plan view me, Sharon Pierce, as their client, or do they view my employer as their client?
That's a great question. Well, the 401k plan, their client is the employer, because they're the ones that pick them for the 401k plan. They're the ones that have given them the opportunity to manage this money, and they're the ones who they actually make money from. Now, a lot of these providers have embedded fees, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes, where they actually are making money off of you, but their real person that they are working for is the employer and not the employee. So, in that scenario, are they looking after your best interest? Or are they looking after the employer's best interest? Brings up a good question, right? Yeah. And, inevitably, if you're not their client and the employer is, they're going to be looking after the employer's best interest.
Well, that makes sense. Whoever's paying them the most, I guess. But it's still your money that they're using to invest. So
Correct.
it's kind of
The double-edged sword.
it is. It is.
Which is why these things are regulated, very highly regulated.
Beyond the Mask is made possible by the team at CRNA Financial Planning. With almost 2 decades of experience, the firm guides CRNAs through the complexities of investing and financial planning. Schedule a free consultation today by calling 855-304-3748 or go online to crnafinancialplanning.com.
So let's talk about fees and the cost associated with these plans.
Well, some of that has been bantered around the last few years a lot. And you really don't ever know what all the fees and costs are in a 401k or 403b plan or 457 for that matter. They do have to disclose certain things now. It used to be years ago they didn't disclose anything at all. But costs and expenses can kind of be masked to a certain extent, where you don't see them as readily available as you would hope. You typically don't see that on your statement when you get it unless you dig into the fine print at the end, or you look at the fund you're in and what the overall cost in that fund is. That's just the fund costs. There could be administrative costs, and a lot of times the administrative costs can be passed along either to the employer or the employee. The employer can choose to pass costs along to you as the employee, because remember, they are choosing that because they are the ones that the plan administrator is working for, so they can pass those costs along to you. So, there's a lot of things to be aware of in a retirement plan, and the majority of our CRNAs don't care about this stuff. They just want to know, am I going to be okay, and so forth. There's some that will. But it just brings up a whole host of other issues. Am I really on track for meeting my goals and objectives? A lot of them have these calculators, but those calculators don't know you. They don't know your situation. They don't know all the background story of, one, how long you're going to live and, what your longevity looks like. You had cancer 5 times, so you're not going to live to age 85. More than likely you're going to live a shorter life cycle. So
then you can be like my mother-in-law, smoked 65 years, was on a ventilator. We extubated her, signed do not resuscitate orders, and she lives here in my house and it's going to be 91.
Wow. But that's all you, Sharon. You brought her back.
I did.
What did Sandy tell you? Sandy
wants to come live at my house just so that I can rehabilitate her health-wise.
Are you still giving her, a pint of bourbon every day to drink as well? Is that kind of
Helen
regimen?
All right. So not all CRNAs have 401ks. There are other plans that are available out there. You want to just touch on some of those, Jeremy?
Yeah. So we can kind of go into a little bit of what, maybe some of our 1099 or independent contractor CRNAs could do. And, whether you're doing this full-time or part-time will somewhat make a difference in this. And who you're working with. If you've got a CPA out there who doesn't know a lot about these types of plans, they are probably going to steer you to the SEP IRA. And the SEP IRA is called the Simplified Employee Pension. It's really not that simplified, but and that is what we see most CPAs out there refer CRNAs to. And for the majority of CRNAs who are 1099, that is probably not the right type of plan. So, and the reason being is because a SEP is all employer funded. There's no employee contributions into a SEP. Okay. And you say, why does that matter? Well, let me give you an example. The employer contribution cap is 25% if you're incorporated, and it comes out to be about 20% if you're not incorporated. So, Sharon, let's just do some simple math. Let's say you are incorporated and we paid you a salary of $100,000. How much could you put into that SEP?
Well, you just said 25%. So
Right.
That's $25,000.
Right, exactly. So you can put $25,000. That's the maximum you can put in for that year. Okay. And if you're not incorporated, what's the maximum you can put in?
You said 20%.
Right.
So that's $20,000.
$20,000. Exactly. So great math. Great. You're going to illustrate my point. Just lovely. We didn't even rehearse this. I mean, this is good stuff.
I know you put me on the spot.
Well, the other type of plan that we see a lot of CRNAs use is called a solo 401k. And the solo 401k is by far the better plan for the majority of CRNAs. Now, we're going to illustrate that here in just a moment. So with the solo 401k, it is typically used in a scenario where you have either you and or your spouse as the employee, but you don't have anyone else as employees. Okay, hence the name solo. It's easier to administer a solo 401k and so forth. So right now in the solo 401k, Sharon, you could save this year $19,500 if you're under age 50, or $27,000 if you're over age 50.
Didn't that just go up? Didn't that just
going
go
up
up
for 2023? Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It'll go to 22.5 is what you'll be able to defer as an employee, and 30,000 if you're 50 or over. But for this year, it's 19.5 and 27. So with that being said, go back to our comparison with the SEP. If you're trying to save more for retirement and you're under age 50, you could save $19,500. Plus, we paid you a salary of $100,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can also do a profit sharing of up to 25%. So you got $25,000 plus the $19,500. You got $44,500 in the plan. Comparison to with the SEP, you got $20,000 or $25,000 in.
Right.
So that's one reason you can save more money in the solo 401k. The other reason is the fact that in the solo 401k, what you save as the employee, we can also make a Roth contribution. So the 19.5 or the 27, you can choose, I want some of it pre-tax and I want some of it post-tax Roth contribution. And all of it could be Roth contribution if you wanted to. So we like to utilize that in a lot of situations because we think that we're probably in the lowest tax environment that we're going to see in our lifetime right now. Just with everything going on in the United States, we know they're going to have to raise tax revenue. And if you're at a lower bracket now and you let this money grow tax deferred and can pull it out tax free in the Roth, makes a great planning tool there. So that's another reason. And the third reason that we like the solo 401k over the SEP is the fact that the solo 401k also allows you to have a loan feature on it. So you can actually take a loan from yourself. You can't do it with the SEP.
Okay.
So if you had something come up, you can take 50% of the balance up to $50,000 and pay yourself back with interest. So that's the reason we like the solo 401k over the SEP. Well, hey, Sharon, we've got some exciting news to share with people today, don't we?
Yes, we do. And why don't you let the cat out of the bag, Jeremy?
Wow, I don't usually put cats in bags. Is that kind of a deep-seated thing with you or what, some of our listeners know we've been doing live podcasts around the country at different state association meetings, ANA events, and so forth. And May 4th through the 7th, we're actually going to be at the Pennsylvania State Meeting. Sharon, you've been there a lot and spoken a lot there at the Hotel Hershey.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've never been to the Hotel Hershey. So
oh my gosh, you are in for a treat. When you check in, they ask you milk or dark because you get chocolate when you check in.
Wow.
It's really cool. So listeners, if you want to go to a great meeting, Pennsylvania puts on a great meeting. We'll be doing the live podcast taping there, and they're going to be having a party there too. And guess who the DJ is?
Let me think. Does his last name end with Pierce?
Yes, it does.
DJ
so
Pierce
come
will
and
be
join
in the
us. Can't leave the house without him anymore,
That's right.
So join us in Pennsylvania at the Hotel Hershey, May 4th through the 7th, and come to a great meeting. These are all the plans that you see that CRNAs currently have.
Well, there are others.
Okay.
You can also have what's called a simple IRA, and the simple IRA is another type of retirement plan. We don't see a lot of people using them, but they're out there. You can actually save $15,500, and then you can have a match from your company. You can either have 3% dollar for dollar match. In other words, if you put in 3, the company puts in 3, or you can have a non-elective contribution of 2%, whether you put in anything at all. Again, don't see a lot of people utilizing those. Obviously, the old traditional IRAs, you can still do that. One, you've got to have earned income. And the majority of our CRNAs make too much money to do this, is save money in a traditional IRA. But if you don't have another retirement plan, even if you make too much money, you can still put money into it. So you can put $6,500 if you're under age 50 or $7,500 if you're over age 50.
Mm-hmm.
And the same
That's
thing
not a
for the
big
Roth.
difference, is it? 6,500, 7,500.
Not a big deal. No. And then you've got the Roth IRA as well, 6,500 and 7,500. Again, you got to have earned income. And the majority of our CRNAs make too much money to do the Roth, but if they don't have another retirement plan, they can do that. And a lot of times, getting in a little more planning here, but we see a lot of 1099s pay their children and then have their children do the Roth IRA because they've got earned income. And then the children can let that grow tax deferred, and that could be millions of dollars by the time they retire. So
that's right. I think you did some of that with the money that one of my kids got from Daddy whenever he died. I think you did Roth or something. Yep. I don't know what you did. I think that's what you did.
Well, and the other type of retirement plan is one that if you're in a situation and you want to sock away a lot of money per year, in other words, if $50,000, $60,000 is not enough, and we do have CRNAs that want to do that, usually they're making a lot of money. They could own a group. They could have other CRNAs working for them, but they're making really good money, or they're behind the 8 ball really bad and saving for retirement. These are called defined benefit plans. And these defined benefit plans, it has to be set up through an actuary. Basically, someone has to do all these calculations each year, but it's almost like an old pension plan. What they do is they take a look at your age, the age you're going to retire, and they calculate backwards based upon a certain interest rate, the amount that you can save in the plan. And in a lot of times, you can get contributions up to $265,000 a year.
Holy cow.
Put away pre-tax for retirement. And you can involve your spouse in these plans. Yes. So you can take a $265,000 deduction in 1 year.
Holy cow.
And you can still contribute to your solo 401k as the employee. Now, the employer's contribution would be limited, but you can see if you're over age 50, you save $27,000 in retirement plan, $265,000 to your defined benefit plan. And now you're getting close to $300,000 a year socked away in retirement plans. So these things are really souped up retirement plans where you can save a lot of money if you need to. So again, those are a little more complicated. But, some of this depends on whether you're an S corp or, you're just an LLC. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, but these are kind of the basics.
Well, what I'm taking from this is most CRNAs, myself included, need a little bit of help in this area.
Yeah, it is a little complicated to be honest.
Little complicated. It's a lot complicated. I know you don't find it complicated, but I guess it's just like in our profession. You'll have nurses in the room watch you and think, oh, all she does is push a little bit of propofol. How hard can that be?
Right.
And so
till that airway goes wacky and you have
Yeah. So you make it look easy, but it's not easy. We make it look easy. It's not easy.
Yeah.
So any concluding thoughts you would like to leave our listeners with, Jeremy?
Well, I would just say, when you're dealing with your retirement plan, first and foremost, pay attention. Make sure that you've got the right plan for you that's going to get you where you want to go. That's if you're W-2 or 1099. I mean, there are different plans and different options. Are you saving the right amount? Are you getting the full employer match if you're W-2? Are you maxing out throughout the year so that you can get all of the match? Are you doing it more in the early part of the year, leaving some money on the table, which you shouldn't be doing? There's a lot that goes into this, and we want you to get everything that you're entitled to and make sure that you do meet your goals, your objectives, and the things that you want to accomplish for you and your family. And it takes a little time and effort to do that. But, again, as I say all the time, CRNAs have a wonderful opportunity to have a really good life. You're not going to have Warren Buffett's life, but you're going to have a really good life if you do the right planning.
Well, I hear Warren Buffett drives just the same old car. He lives way within his means.
He does. But if he wants to buy a plane or a train, he can go do that too.
Or an automobile. He can do it.
Well, I guess say automobile because, we can all go buy an automobile. It's a plane or a train. That's big money. That's real money.
That is big money. That
money.
is big money. So. Well, thank you, Jeremy, for joining us today on Beyond the Mask.
I've really enjoyed it. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, you did a fantastic job. We thank you for everything that you do for the CRNA community.
Sounds very familiar. Well, Sharon, I think it's a wrap.
I think so.
We want to thank our listeners for listening to Beyond the Mask with Jeremy Stanley and
Sharon Pierce.
Sharon, if they like our show, they want to help us grow, what can they do for us?
What do you mean if they like our show?
Well, we assume they like it because they're listening.
Yes. Leave us a review, but make it
positive. As we know, there's way too much negativity in this world.
Absolutely. Share us on social media. Tell all your friends. Believe it or not, I was working at a place this week and a CRNA there had no idea that you could listen to a podcast and get Class B credits. I was
under a rock or something?
I was wondering about that myself. And I'm like, you can get 40 hours of your 100 hours by listening to us. It was whenever I was in Winston and I was getting ready to leave and we were taping in the studio last week. So anyway, that being said, we are in the top 50 medical podcasts in the country, again, alluding to that rock that they must have been under. And we are on our way to number
1, just like we are in the CRNA community. We're the number 1 podcast in the CRNA community.
Absolutely. So
we couldn't do it without our listeners, right?
Yeah. I was like, I don't even remember what I wanted to say now.
That's okay. That's all right. We just want to thank our listeners for sure. We wouldn't be here without them.
We sure do.
Till next time.
It's a wrap.
As a CRNA, you spend years preparing yourself for this career, so we don't want to see you lose out on any of the income you've worked so hard to earn. The best way to protect yourself and give you the confidence that a major life event won't disrupt your financial future is through disability insurance. We've known disability income specialist Robert Smith for many years and have seen the work he's done with nearly 2,000 CRNAs over multiple decades. He can help identify any gaps in your existing coverage and fill those gaps by finding the best value on a policy. Contact Robert and let him know you heard about him on our podcast. Send him an email at rsmithjr@financialguide.com. That's rsmithjr@financialguide.com. Or call him at 504-394-6557. Protect your greatest asset as a CRNA, yourself and your ability to earn a living by adding disability insurance to your financial plan. Today's show is brought to you by the folks at CRNA Financial Planning, an independent consulting firm that offers financial planning services exclusively to CRNAs and their families. From planning for a child's future college expenses to building a predictable income stream in retirement, the firm is committed to offering you comprehensive financial services, customized to fit your unique needs and objectives. If you have questions about your financial future, get them answered. Call the team at 855-304-3748. That's 855-304-3748. Or go online to crnafinancialplanning.com.
Hi, this is Jackie Rolls, President of the International Federation of Nurse Anesthetists and President and founder of Our Hearts, Your Hands, a global anesthesia support community that takes donations to allow nurse anesthetists in low and middle income countries to go to educational programs, buy equipment, or textbooks. Your donations are tax deductible, and we would appreciate your support.
Be sure to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and anywhere you like to listen to shows. Also, be sure to check out BeyondTheMaskPodcast.com. Each episode is posted there with a corresponding blog post, and we timestamp important parts of the episode to help you quickly get to the content you're looking for. Also, check out the special series section on the site. You can follow along and catch up on the CRNA History Series, episodes specifically about political conversations in the industry, or try the CRNA Personal Finance Series. It's all on BeyondTheMaskPodcast.com. And if you have a question for the show or want to be a guest, or even suggest a particular topic, fill out the contact form on the site or send an email directly to us at info@BeyondTheMaskPodcast.com. And lastly, let's take the conversation social. Check out our Beyond the Mask podcast Facebook page and Facebook group.